All right, I want to take a look at number 4 in the practice problems for linear and angular speed. So number 4 here. Um, you're told you got 14-inch diameter wheels and you got 4.85-inch rubber tire on top of that. Um, so the total radius, the 14 is the diameter, so 7 would be the radius plus the 4.85. The radius of your wheel and tire together is this 11.85. Now, Chris, who asked this problem, said that part A was fine, calculated the angular speed at 45 miles an hour. So I'm not going to do part A. I am going to do part B and C, though. So part B says you've got the new tires that are 5.45 inches. So now our radius is 7, the original metal part, the rim of the tire, plus the 5.45 is 12.45 inch radius now. Okay. Um, and the question is, if your speedometer says you're traveling 50 miles per hour, how fast are you actually going? So I got 50 miles per hour. Now I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this calculation out and see that there's actually a really simple way to do this problem, but I don't see that necessarily ahead of time. I'm going to do the 50 miles per hour in a way similar that you would have done the 40 miles per hour. So if I'm going to convert 50 miles per hour into angular speed of the wheel, I would say that each mile is 5,280 feet. And then I would say that each foot is 12 inches. I'm going to inches because that's what my radius is. So what I've done now, by multiplying by 5,212, I've converted that 50 miles per hour into inches per hour. If I then needed to change that into angular speed, I would have to say, well, if I know how many inches per hour are going by, how much angle changes that? So I've got to change inches into radians. And the relationship is that every 1 radian is worth 12.45 inches, right? 1 radian of angle gives you the arc length equal to the radius. Well, if the radius is 12.45 inches, then 1 radian is 12.45 inches of arc length. And that's what the linear speed is that inches per second, and the radius, then the radians then would be angles per second. So this would give me angles per, in fact, not second in this case. I haven't converted the time yet, so it's still per hour. This would be in radians per hour. I'm sorry, I divided by the wrong number, right? The thing is, your speedometer thinks you still have the original factory tires on. So the speedometer thinks that you're actually traveling at 11.85 inches for every radian. Okay. The thing is, though, when it's reading 50 miles per hour, it's thinking whatever this calculation is. In fact, let me do it. It's equal to 267,341.7722 radians per hour, right? That's what it thinks. Well, that's not what it thinks it is. It thinks you're doing 50 miles per hour, so that's what the angular speed is. The thing is, you aren't actually using this radius, you're using a bigger radius. So this angular speed now converted back to miles per hour. So if I take this answer and convert it back to miles per hour, well, I'm going to take this 267,341.7722, and I'm going to say, okay, that's in radians per hour. I convert radians to inches by saying that 1 radian is worth 12.45 inches, because that's the tire that I actually have on there. And then I'm going to convert all these others back. So 12 inches is the same as 1 foot, and that 5,280 feet is the same as 1 mile, and I'll be back. So essentially, I've I've taken 50, I've multiplied it by 5,280, I've multiplied it by 12, I've divided by this number. Now I'm multiplying by that number and dividing the 12 and dividing the 12 back out again and dividing the 5,280 back out again. Essentially, the total calculation is I've taken the 50, dividing it by the radius of the factory tire, and multiplying by the radius of the new tire. So the total result is just the 50 divided by 11.85 and then multiply by the new radius of 12.45 for 52.53 miles per hour. So you thought you were doing 50, but because you got the bigger tires on, you're actually doing 52. Now likewise for part C, they're saying, well, suppose you've got skinnier tires. Suppose you got only 4.05 inch tires. So now the radius is 7 plus 4.05. So if the speedometer reads 30 miles an hour, you do the same calculation as you did up here, multiply by 5,280, multiply by 12, divide by the factory radius of 11.8, the factory tire radius, 11.85, to get, instead of 50, you got a 30, so this number would be a little different, but it's the same calculation. But then you say, but wait a minute, that angular speed that the car thinks I'm going at, the speedometer thinks I'm going at, actually wasn't using this radius, it was using a smaller radius. So you would then multiply by that smaller radius and do this whole thing backwards again. So the net result would be, take this thing, divide by the 11.85, and add on this new radius, which is 11.05, for 30 times 11.05 divided by 11.85, and we get 27.97, so just under 28 miles an hour. So even though the speedometer thinks you're doing 30, you're actually going slower because the radius of your tire is smaller than what the speedometer thinks it is. Okay, so the bigger radius gave you a faster speed. Instead of 50, which the speedometer read, you're actually doing 52.5. The smaller radius, the smaller tire, when you're doing 30, you're only doing 27 because your angular speed might be the same, but you're not turning through as much distance because your radius is smaller. Okay. Anyway, there's that one.